Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Compelling Conversations podcast. I'm so excited to host an awesome young man, Aaron. Aaron, thanks so much for being here, dude.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm real excited. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from my room and from my house in Spring, Texas.
Spring, Texas. Nice, nice, cool. I wanted to begin by saying that you, like myself, are a real enjoyer of films. What do
Yeah.
movies do for you exactly?
Uh, Not much, honestly. I mean, it's like obviously it's entertainment, so it's like just we just consume. But no, no, no. For me, honestly, I've been watching a lot of as of like I've matured, I've watched a bit more like YouTubers that do video essays. So I mean, for me, it's like I like to pick apart movies now. This is aside from
Mm,
the entertainment aspect. So I like to pick apart movies and really analyze the writing and like character development, stuff like that.
mm.
Um, but yeah, no, that's basically the gist of it. What do movies provide for you? I know you like to analyze like the deeper messages and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I love the symbolism. There was this guy that I was watching, and he was saying how inside all of us there is like this fire to, do things and be in the world. But what happens is like we'll walk into a movie theater and we'll feel one way, and then we walk out, and then we feel like, oh my God, we can conquer the world, we can change everything. And he's like, what happened? You just went into a dark room and you saw like lights and sounds flicker on a screen. And he's like, it's always been in you, that feeling that you can conquer the world, that you can change things. But you just needed that symbol to inspire you. You needed to see that and it changes everything. So for myself, movies are like a portal into another world, but also like this thing that, I don't know, kind of just reminds you of what's inside of you, I guess. Something like that.
Is that for all movies?
I think if you're looking for it, you can see it, but not necessarily. Yeah.
So it's a they offer a confidence boost, more or less, right? Or is that the
Yeah,
wrong
it
word?
can. I mean, it's been a minute since I've seen a film. Actually, no. No, I saw Iron Man 3 yesterday. But yeah, I've never seen those movies. Actually, I wanted to mention this. I've never seen any of the Iron Man movies until like this, like recently. And
You're not a big
yeah.
MCU guy?
No, I used to be.
Used
You
to
are
be.
too, right?
I used to be. I mean, nowadays I really just don't care because it's all like it's going in a different direction.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not like I'd still watch them on like Disney Plus just because I have that convenience. But as far as like going out of my way and spending money to go to a movie theater, it's not. Most definitely not. I actually don't like movie theaters.
Yeah. You said confidence boost, which is an interesting like play on words, and I guess movies can serve as that, but I feel like a confidence boost is more so when you do the things that are important to you. Would you say the same thing? Or what is a confidence boost to you?
Well, a confidence boost can be anything really, but I mean, I only said that because of what you said earlier about how like you go into the theater feeling one way, right? And then you come out feeling like you can conquer the world. I've never heard that's an interesting way to describe movies. I've never heard anyone describe it that way. So the first thing that popped into my head was a confidence boost. That's what I
Mm,
think. So I mean, yeah, it could be anything as long as
yeah.
if it what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't have to be enlightening. It's like I'm trying to think of a word. Empowers you there. That's a confidence boost. It could be about like anything, but that's what I think of what a confidence boost is.
And what are the things that empower you in your life?
Um, Good grades is a big one, right? You all get
And why
motivated
is
by
that?
that. Well, I mean, you're South Asian, correct? You're Pakistani. So I mean, I believe you can attest to this. We were raised to, sort of do well, right? And put a lot of hard work in whatever we do academically. It doesn't just have to be academically though, but when you see the fruits of the labor that you put in, It's like, oh wow, that makes me happy.
Has that
Uh,
always been the case for you?
it has.
Could you elaborate on that?
I mean, I was sort of raised to do good in school my whole life, so it's like if I see the result, like the fruit of the work that I've put in, it's like, oh wow, that motivates me to do better in all that I do.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Has it ever come to a point though where you saw that fruit of labor and it did inspire you, but you somehow like tumbled downhill?
Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
I've had so many ups and downs in my life in
Yeah.
everything,
Hmm.
including school. And like there have been moments where I was like king of Everest, like wow, look at what I wield in my hand with these
Yeah.
grades. And then other times it's like, oh, damn, I kind of fell off the mountain there. So I'm
Really
curious if
humbles
you've
you,
ever
right?
experienced it does humble you. And what it reminds me of actually is something that Charles Bukowski said, something to the effect of when you get punched enough times, you start, saying and doing the things that are really important to you. So yes, I guess in a way it does humble you.
Um, no, I mean the most recent case would be this last semester. I mean that like that's by far the toughest semester I've ever been through. I mean, thank God that I passed, but it's like it's a it was demoralizing at times, you know. I didn't always get the best grades last semester,
Did you
but
cry?
no, it hasn't gotten that bad yet.
Well,
I
I'm
believe
curious,
it's
do you ever cry?
no, I don't, not often.
Oh.
What about you? Are you emotional man?
I think sometimes I can be. It was either somebody I talked to on the podcast or off the podcast, and they said something along the lines of, like crying is like in a way a remedy for the soul because it's like it kind of just like washes you inside. It's like every once in a while, it's like a good, I guess, mechanism to just feel better. So
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, no, I mean I agree with that statement. It's like it's a bit renewing, isn't it? Right? When you
yeah,
cry.
yeah,
But I don't know. I haven't cried in a minute.
yeah. That's
What?
cool.
Yeah,
When I think about like you, like when you think about a person, just associations come in your mind, right?
yeah.
When I think about you, I think of like this word, manhood. And I'm
Really.
not, yeah, I'm not exactly sure why, but it's like you have that presence. And I'm curious, what does that word manhood mean to you?
Manhood? Oh man. I believe in today's in today's context, like today's society's context. Does that make sense? I believe we can I believe I can go all day about this, right? So to me, manhood is number one. I know you're Muslim, right? So you know the importance of following Allah, or in this case for me, following God. I believe that's like the number one thing to manhood. Like even though
Mm.
we're men, right? I still think we need to submit to that higher authority because
Yeah.
in the end they know what's right. So we must submit to them. I'm gonna sound real traditional, but I think as men, we also have another duty, which is to take care of our families if we ever choose to have any, right? And then raise them in a better path than you took, and also teach them the importance of submitting to God or a higher authority. And I believe that's it. It doesn't get much more complicated than that.
You
Oh
mentioned
hold
that,
on, hold on, hold on.
yeah.
Before raising your family, I believe you also have to find like a good quality woman, which is hard nowadays. That's just my opinion and from what I've witnessed.
Yeah. I like all the things you mentioned. When you mentioned this thing about God, I like that because like in the Islamic tradition, the idea is like Islam means to surrender to the will of God. And so what I've been thinking about recently is the most freedom I've ever felt personally is when I surrender to God. So I feel like that's really cool how it kind of aligns to manhood. If
Yeah,
that's
man,
yeah.
it's great. It's great. You know, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't mean to. sway the conversation, but one of the best compliments I've ever received is actually from you. Because
Is
that
that
what I
right?
don't yeah, I don't remember when it was, but it was from the last semester. You told me it's like every time you speak to me, you feel anointed. And we were like, we were in a rush, so I never got to ask you. But you could elaborate on that if you want later, but you can continue on with what you were talking about, like
No,
the
no, that's all I
surrender.
was saying. But I'm honored that you really resonated with that compliment. Um, yeah, it's just when I'm in your presence, when I'm talking to you, and not, I'm not like I'm not trying to, I guess, toot your horn or whatnot, but it's like Aaron, like that's a cool guy, man. Like when I'm talking to him, it's like you have this sort of there's a plane of reality we're on in the conversation, and it's like a serene one. So I guess something along those lines.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know. I'm more of a deep conversations guy. Like
yeah,
if I know I can have a deep conversation with someone, then I'll definitely take the chance to do it. Because usually, like deep conversations, to me, they're pretty fruitful, even if they start out with something superficial like video games or whatever.
yeah,
They can end up pretty deep to me, which is good. I'm not really much of a small talk person. That's the thing, though. I'm more of an introvert. But if I get to know someone such as like yourself who can reach that plane you're talking about earlier, then I'm all up for it.
yeah.
So I
And I
mean, it's
really
good we
mean
have that
that.
interest.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean it. Like I specifically remember one time, I think it was probably the last time I saw you. We were just kind of like in front of the library by those trees. And I think I just kind of like felt it there, like, wow, like this man, like, I don't know. Like, for instance, when you do meet people, right, it is a truth that you get their energy. There's some people you're like, yeah, I'm not really like feeling that person. There's another person you're like,
It's like
oh, like
vibes.
vibes,
Yeah,
precisely. Do you feel vibes with people?
I do, but it takes. I'm not like I never. This whole like energy and whole vibes conversation is pretty recent. Did you ever notice that? Like, I don't think our grandparents are like, oh, I don't like hanging out with this person because they have a weird vibe. I don't think our parents even would
Well,
talk about that kind of stuff, right?
it is interesting you mentioned this. I would say it's more like it's more like swept under the carpet, under the formalities. Like, oh, I really don't like that person, but for formalities, I'm gonna talk to them, kind of a thing. That's what I would say.
I don't know. I feel like the whole like sensing people's energy thing is pretty recent to me, so I'm not as sensitive to it. So in
Yeah.
answering like your previous question, I mean, I could probably sense other people's vibes, but it's like it's later than some other people. It all depends on the person to me.
Yeah. I think you do have a point though. Like it is a little more of a recent conversation, these vibes and energies. What is your take on all of that?
For something that new, I honestly haven't developed one for it because it's like a
Mm.
small thing to me. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Why is it a small thing to you?
I mean, because like for starters, as an introvert, I don't think you. Number one, I don't talk to people that often. I choose not to, so it's like, why would I even pay like pay attention to it? I guess.
Mm.
I mean, compared to you, I mean, I know you like to talk to a lot of people, so you definitely have more experience than me
Mhm.
when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you what scares you?
What scares me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Such a broad question.
Yeah.
I mean, for starters, like this is gonna sound pretty funny. Bad grades scare me.
And why
I'll
is
put
that?
I'll put it out there. I don't know. I've always grown up um, with like consequences that weren't the best, always following bad grades. So it's like there's always like kind of like a negative stigma around it for me. But that's just a personal thing.
And
I
on
know
a
as a
deeper
med
level
student
though,
on a deeper level,
yeah, what does that like do to you?
demoralizes me.
What does that mean, demoralize?
Well, I mean, it brings me down, right? My spirit just feels heavier, if that makes any sense.
It feels heavier.
It feels heavier. You just don't yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
Hmm.
I mean, I know you're a med school student, you're a pre-med, so does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, it does.
You said you've had some ups and downs, right? So I mean, you've felt that like heaviness in your spirit.
I don't know if I'd call it a heaviness, but yeah, it certainly does play a role in the spirit for sure. Because there's things that improve your integrity, as Jordan Peterson says, and then there's things that when you do them, you can very much sense that it disintegrates you. So yeah, I'd say that. And I'd say like the thing that I'm interested in particular, psychiatry and the psychology aspects, um, that whole endeavor is full of like those ups and downs. That whole improving your integrity and then disintegrating. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on integrity?
Yeah. There's some things you do and you feel like, wow, like this is something that's building me up. And then there's some things you do and you're like, wow, like I don't belong here. That sort of a thing.
That's interesting. I never thought of it. I don't really think about that word that much. So
What
hearing
word?
it, integrity, hearing it with like your explanations, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Never heard it that way before. How did you describe it again? It's like you don't belong somewhere or it makes you feel better, right? That's what integrity is to you. Is that what you're
I do
speaking of?
think so because if you think about it, like this can even go back to that conversation of manhood, right? Of humanity in general, really. Well, we can all offer something good to society,
Yeah.
but it's not like everybody's going to offer it the same way, you know? So it's like if you are a chef, but you're in the room working on, I don't know, aquatics, it's like you could have been like an amazing chef cooking for people kind of a thing, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that. It's like as a chef that your integrity is not required. It's as you would put it, being demoralized in that aquatics room. But it's improving if you take steps to becoming a better chef. That kind of a thing.
That's interesting. I've never thought about it that way. It's like you're like aligning integrity with the will of God for someone in their life. That's how I think of it. That's what that's how I heard it.
Well, I mean,
At least
like,
when it comes to the
yeah.
example you just told me about, right?
Explain that, what you mean.
So let's say if someone, okay, so you're using a chef, or at least someone who has a really good aptitude for cooking, but then what are they doing? They're doing like marine biology or something like that. But they could be, I don't know. I think there's more you can add to that. Is this person good at marine biology also? I'm going on a
No,
bit of a tangent. Okay, so he's
no,
not.
you're not on. Yeah, you keep going.
So he's like, does he know he has a passion for cooking?
He's a chef.
He's not, but he's not
Yes,
like
he
pursuing
knows.
that,
He
right?
knows. He knows.
So after he realizes he doesn't like marine biology, he chooses to forego cooking.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It might just be God's plan eventually for him to realize he was doing something wrong, and then he starts doing what he loves to do and what he's good at. So in this case, he'd be a chef. That's how I think about it. And I
Yeah.
think everyone goes through phases like that, some longer than others, right?
Yeah.
Like some
Yeah.
people, as soon as they know what they want to do after high school, right? And then there's people like that person you were talking about. It could be anyone. They could go to like marine biology, engineering, or some other thing, but then they realize, oh, yeah, I have a passion for something else.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that you and I have discussed is how, if I'm not mistaken, you don't really have a passion for the things you do. You just do them for I suppose, a worldly goal. Am I
Worldly
correct?
goal?
Yeah.
What do you mean by worldly goal?
Money?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, maybe I do have a passion for it. I just haven't acknowledged it yet. But yeah, no, it's all
I'm
about prac.
so yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. You're good. It's all about practicality for me, right? I mean, I was raised that way. Even if you don't, even if you don't have like the passion to do something, you still have to do it for the sake of, like I said earlier, providing for your family. So that's what I think it is. I mean, pursuing engineering doesn't irk me. Like it doesn't bother me that I'm not pursuing anything else. So it's like, why not just stick to it? But
Yeah.
I know for sure not everyone is the same.
Yeah, no, there's a great point in that practicality. But I am curious, do you ever feel like a chef in an aquatics room?
No,
No.
not at least not anymore. Well, I mean, yeah, actually, no, never, never.
Wow.
What about
That's
you? Do you
cool.
feel you? I know you're passionate about the human mind, so that's what motivates you, right? That's what helps your integrity.
Yeah, well, that's a good point or a good question.
I know I'm making you think. It's
Yeah.
interesting. This is the back and forth that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I mean, what improves my integrity is just just doing the things that are important to me. So yes, I suppose the human mind is important to that. Yeah. I don't know.
Do
Kind
you
of a
like
vague
helping
answer.
people though? Do you like helping people sort through their mental baggage? And that doesn't have to be negative, but just sorting through their mental baggage as a psychiatrist or psychologist. Is that what motivates you also?
Yeah, I think just sometimes in conversations, that's what I'm doing with some people. I think some people I talk to and that's just what it is, really. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that with like your podcast, right? Yes, people it doesn't have to be the podcast. It can be like regular conversations, like you said. You like to pick apart what
Yeah.
people believe, and it's like, oh, I never really thought of that. That's great. Thank you for asking. You know?
Yeah, that's what the podcast is supposed to be a reflection of, just those regular conversations that are just based off of curiosities. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but
interesting.
it certainly is. Yeah.
Like,
Do
not many
you,
people. Oh, sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no.
Not many people like to do the deep conversations we do. At least that's what I feel like. Like everyone's pretty superficial, you know. Just like, oh, what are you doing today? How's your day? It's not like, well, granted, not everyone can go have those deep conversations, so that's kind of understandable. But at the same time, as if you're craving for that deep conversation, right? Like you like asking people those thought-provoking questions, and I'm pretty sure you like it when people like to pick apart your thoughts too, right? So you crave those things and you don't get them as frequently, then that's what I think.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I don't necessarily know if I like when people pick apart my thoughts. It is interesting that you mentioned that because usually when people ask me things, I do give them vague answers. I'm more interested in what they have to say, and it's just I guess the way I am. I don't know, but it's interesting that you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I forgot where I was going with that. My bad.
No, you're good. It's not a big deal. Do you have a routine? And if so, how long did it take you to establish that routine?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. Ever since like I've started U of H, my routine changes a lot. It depends on what my schedule is, but as of now, it's just like wake up, uh, do a devotional, and then prepare for the next semester. Uh, work out eventually, play video games, and sleep. Eventually, I'll eat between those times, right? But that's like anyone can do that. So I believe that's like a
Damn.
general gist of what I've been doing this past summer.
What is a devotional?
So I don't know if Muslims have anything similar to a devotional, but for me personally, it's just like spending time with the Lord, you know, studying the Bible. figuring out what he's trying to say to me during that time. And maybe it's like what you were talking, surrendering, right? That's part of it. So I guess yeah, it's just surrendering, studying the Bible and prayer. That's all it is.
Mm.
Do you have anything similar to that in Islam?
Off the top of my head, not really, but I mean, you read the Quran, you pray, that kind of a thing. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything equivalent to a devotional. Maybe it's just like a habit thing, right? You kind of just wake up and go, okay, well, I'm gonna start the day reading this, I
Yeah.
suppose. So I guess prayer could translate to that in some sense. You wake
Okay.
up before sunrise, that kind of a thing. But it's interesting that you mentioned you play video games. I forgot that you play video games. What does that do for you?
Recently, it's kind of like the whole like movies thing, right? Usually we just used to watch stuff for entertainment. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure you used to like play video games for entertainment because I'm pretty like this is gonna sound weird, but I looked you up on YouTube for some reason. And I found your YouTube channel and you're like I watched that video where you're like, yeah, video games don't give me like that. I don't know what it was like that rush anymore, right? Did you make a
Yeah,
video about that?
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like that to me. I don't know. For me, it used to be just pure entertainment. Like as a kid, you don't really
Uh,
know what you're looking forward to in a video game, but for me, it's just like a good story is a big one. I guess game mechanics. Like you know what From Software games are, right? Like Dark
I
Souls.
do.
That challenge is pretty good. I like that challenging aspect and the rewards
And
you get after.
does it improve your integrity when you beat the bosses and whatnot?
Sure, it does. I mean, you could say you're that much closer to completing the game or whatever it may be. I think it depends on the person, but for me, just like, oh, cool. This boss was hard, but I beat him, so it's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Nothing, nothing much, nothing much
That's
more than that.
yeah. It's funny how you mentioned that about that YouTube video that I made because it was like a year or a year and a half, 2 years where I didn't want to play video games and like I was like resisting it, you know? Like when you
Which
want to
is good
stop.
for some people. I mean, you probably needed it.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the interesting part about it. It's like when I stopped resisting like just what the urge to play and I would just play, like I just automatically came out of it. Like it doesn't interest me anymore. But because I had made it up in my mind, like video games suck, I hate that, this and that, and I was playing them, it was just this opposition and it was taking me nowhere. So I always find it very fascinating that the moment I stopped resisting, surrender, as you say, I found my freedom. I just didn't care anymore.
So was that like that led to you not playing video games anymore, right? That led to you stopping completely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, oh, I don't like maybe now it's like, oh, like one day randomly, if I'm bored, I'll like literally sit down for a proper 2 hours and play GTA. But then it's like, okay, like I'm done. I probably won't do this again for like another month or something. Yeah.
What do you do like if you're on your free time if you're not playing video games, what are you doing? If not this podcast, what else are you doing?
That's a secret.
Oh,
But I did want to bring this into like a similar conversation that we've had before about social media. Like I've been in that phase now where I was with video games. Like, oh, this sucks. I hate this. Not really seeing it as a tool to maybe advance things, but just a time waster. And it's like I use it and then I also hate that I use it. But it's like the moment that I surrender that hatred or that opposition, I feel like it
hold
won't
on. What do you
be
mean by surrendering that opposition though? Do you like stop completely? Do you not use it anymore?
no, like today I haven't used it at all. But like yesterday, for instance, I was experimenting and I realized like I just used it like once or twice and that was it. And I think what I mean to say is like when you have like a thought in your head, right? And that thought is um I hate this. I don't
Yeah.
like this, but you do it. And so it's like there's an opposition there in your mind and what you're
Yeah.
actually doing.
Uh-huh.
But when you decide to just remove that thought, like I hate this, right? Or whatever it could be, and you just do the thing, it just kind of like it's like a metamorphosis. It comes together and you
But
just it's not a problem anymore.
but aren't you still doing something that you don't want to do?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like it just dissipates. It disappears. It's like that urge for video games. I don't really care. If I do play it, I'm not gonna beat myself up for it. I'm just gonna have fun.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay, okay, I see.
Yeah,
I know what you mean now.
yeah, yeah. I should have unpacked that before. Yeah,
Yeah, no, because like I was kind of having trouble grasping what you were trying to say with that. Kind of confused me.
yeah. But Aaron, I'm very curious. Like, what do you have on your mind? What are the things that you've been meaning to express, haven't had a chance to express them?
Um, Let me just pick out something that sticks out. Let's continue the social media conversation, right? So we were texting earlier this week. I don't know if it was earlier this week or earlier last week, but you said something you like to inspire people, and then they like it, and then it's just empty likes to you. Can you? I'll build off
Well,
on what you have to say about that.
yeah, I don't recall the inspire part, but
Or it's like you
um,
wanted to share something.
yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I like being creative, I guess you could say that, and I just like to share that creative. Like for years, I've been a cooped up creative. I've had all these ideas and all this art and all these words to share, but like
You should try
I never.
journaling, dude.
Oh no, no, I do journal. But what I'm saying is like my creative works, I never like shared them. I never expressed them. And then like the moment I started sharing them, um, I don't know, it just
Was it liberating?
in its own way, yeah, it was liberating. So something like that.
And you said people like it, but it doesn't. It's empty. What do you mean by it's like it doesn't? Okay, no. Let me switch it around a bit. You said it does more harm than good, right? That's what you
Social
believe in.
media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I mean, I believe it. I
I
can
guess
I can
yeah,
agree with that. It's like I think some one of your previous guests was talking about that. Like
there was, yeah.
society like crumbles because of social media. To an extent, I believe it's true.
Yeah. No, he made an excellent point and I agree with him, you know. I don't know if he said that exactly, but it was something to that effect. And I just think that the cons outweigh the pros, you know? And yeah, that's just what I think. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that
I agree.
I'm necessarily gonna, like completely stop using it because I have to admit, I have to acknowledge that there is that the other side where it is a tool that can help you. Like I've made so many friends and I've like been able to keep them there. Like I just had another guest on and we were just talking about how like he just uses it to keep up with people that he's made friends with. But like there's so many people he's met, he doesn't have their number, he has no contact whatsoever, and they're just like gone. And so I do think it's a good tool to keep up with people that you know. But I
Yeah,
do think at the same time, as he mentioned, that it has this gravity to kind of suck you into a rabbit hole. And I think that's dangerous. And I think we should always kind of gauge ourselves on that.
I agree. No, it's like every time someone gets on, it's like a dopamine high for them. So at that point, it's like a drug, right? And as if it's a drug, you can get addicted to it, and if you it can take over your life pretty quickly if you're not watching that, like you said.
Yeah. And you got on briefly, and then I
I
imagine you
did,
left again.
I
And
did
was that an easy on and off transition for you?
transition. Like, what do you
Oh,
mean?
I'm back, and now I need to leave again.
Yeah, yeah. No, I see all like my Explorer page, or it's like all the stuff that pops up.
And you just want
That's
to vomit when you see that, right?
yeah, bro. I see like all these people I didn't like in high school. And it's like I see them again. It's like, dang, yeah, I'm done.
Well, yeah, no, it certainly happens. Yeah. For myself,
It doesn't hit anymore. It's like video games for you, you know?
It doesn't hit anymore. That's the way to put it. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. It's no longer a dopamine high that I get from it. It's sort of just like it's more of a cortisol shot, if that makes any sense. You know what cortisol is? The stress hormone.
Yeah,
It
yeah, I do.
doesn't actually stress me out, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it just I don't know. I could never fully articulate it, and I've come to terms with that. That's the way to put it. But
Okay.
I'm curious, Aaron. This has been an awesome conversation. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything that you felt like you wanted to say, but you didn't get a chance to say?
Uh, no, I was sort of just letting it flow. I wasn't really planning anything.
Yeah, and that's the way to keep it, huh? Just,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you feel sincere on here?
Yeah. Honestly, I've never had to explain the manhood thing we've talked about. I never had to explain that before, so that was pretty cool. Um, yeah, and social media sort of just said what I needed to say. Yeah.
Nice,
And
nice.
the compliment you gave me like last semester, I felt like I needed to get that off my chest. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it resonated with you.
Hmm. Thanks for telling me, man. I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah. But it's been awesome having you, Aaron.
Thanks for
And
having me on, man.
yeah, appreciate you sharing your thoughts. And so I suppose until next time then, huh?
Yeah, man.
All right, well, you take care, my friend.
You too. I hope this podcast is successful, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Inshallah,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, inshallah.
Nice.
All right. We're good?
Bye.
All
Yep.
right.